Welcome back to the Creating One podcast. And there is such an unfortunate event that has been going on and circulating through social media. And it's regarding the domestic situation that is in progress with Jalen Rose, former NBA basketball player, and his sister, regarding the home that she lives in. Now, this home was purchased by Jalen Rose for the residence of his mom and at one time his grandmother. The grandmother preceded the mom in death. The mom passed away in February of 2021. So now the sister is on social media exposing the inside of the home, Jalen, and what she considers to be him calling her a squatter and serving her with legal eviction. That's basically the background upon what is been posted. As far as me having an opinion about Jalen or about the sister, that is not why I'm here. What I am here to do, because I have seen and observed situations very similar to this. Siblings, family often have very, very thin emotions when there's a sick parent or when there is a death of a parent or even any family member. Very, very, very nerve ending events that can literally set you off with just as much as decisions on how to give them care and then how to bury them. These times are very, very sensitive for everyone. And someone needs to be mentally in charge. It's one thing to have someone in charge who can pay the bills, but then you need someone who can actually lead. And quite often, the person who is being cared for doesn't designate the person who can do that. They designate the person who is their favorite, the person who they like the most, because they want to believe in the recesses of their brain that this person is in charge. This is very different with Jalen Rose, because Jalen Rose is the person who is clearly the responsible one financially. He provided the home for the sister to live in as a caregiver to the mom. How this situation could have been prevented. If you are given the task or you volunteer to care for someone and a residence, rent-free or whatever, is a part of the agreement, you need to also make sure you understand what is going to be your next chapter in the event this person's health is restored or in the event that this person transitions. What I'm talking about is when this job or this verbal or written agreement comes to an end. What are you going to do next? How are you going to take care of yourself? How are you going to restore yourself back to the independence that you had before you took on this responsibility? How I mitigated a situation was because I had my own residence, and no matter what the situation was, I was not going to give up my residence because I did not want the responsibility for me to fall on anyone else for no given amount of time. And I knew that if I surrendered my apartment and then moved in with my mom and then she transitioned, the conditions upon where she could possibly be living would likely, as her being the primary on the lease, and at her termination, I would be served with an eviction. This is not even in a family situation. This is in a residential situation. Unless I was living in her home, or if I wasn't the person who was going to be, the home was going to be passing to, this is the kind of situation that goes on all the time. This is not a new situation. Very often, wives have had to move out of homes that husbands had on paper with previous spouses, or the home belongs to someone else in the family. This is not an unusual situation. So please, whatever you do not look at this situation as something that is so strange and so odd and just unimaginable. It happens way more than we want to admit. The only reason why this is getting so much of attention is because social media is notorious for trying to give people the opportunities to put people on blast. And secondarily, Jalen Rose is quite familiar in the public arena. So therefore, you have someone making an accusation about him, and then you have him being a readily known person is going to amp up the energy surrounding it. And as I stated, I don't have an opinion one way or another, because I am the kind of person that would have likely made sure I was okay. I would never enter into any agreement, being of a certain age. And clearly she's not a young person, but I don't know what her situation is, and I don't know what agreement she entered into with him. But I would just always say, going forward, for anyone who's about to enter into an agreement or a situation that might be looking similar to caring for someone and giving up your entire stead, your job, moving across town, country, or whatever, your residence, making any huge sacrifice, make sure that you understand that what you're going to be doing and what you're going to be receiving as compensation and what your transition is going to be. Even when you leave jobs, especially when you've been there quite a while, it might be in your contract that you are entitled to some kind of severance. To be honest with you, if I had an opinion about this situation and how Jalen should handle it, I still cannot know what it was he agreed to with her in the event that they did come to some kind of agreement. So that's why I have no opinion about it, because I don't want to spend 30, 40, 50 minutes with all the variables and scenarios of how this situation really was. So the only thing I can truly speak to is how to prevent yourself from being displaced, labeled a squatter, and legally evicted. And so I wish them nothing but success, and they have my prayers on how they come to a resolution with this. And I really hope that she finds peace, because at the end of the day, when you are leaving a situation after 18 months of caring for someone, and in her case, caring for her mom and grandmother, she's not leaving just a job. She's not leaving just a position as a caregiver. She is also mourning the loss of two relatives. And I know that we're in this culture where we like to look at people who appear to have entitlement and say what they should or should not do, but we don't know enough about the situation to have an opinion about it. I just know the facts, and the facts are not even what she says, because they are not, as far as I'm concerned, something that is legal and binding. She has her opinion about the situation. He has no opinion that is spoken about the situation, as far as I can tell. But what I do know is that this was her mother, this was her grandmother. So while her grandmother passed on, she still had a sick mother to care for. So she mourned the loss of one while she was still caring for another. And then less than 2 years or 3 years, she's lost both. And again, this is a tremendous amount of responsibility. And people should not look at this as easy, especially given the fact that you can come from a sibship of dozens and still only have maybe one or two who actually want to get in, roll their sleeves up, and do the work. There very often is a lot of chefs in that kitchen telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, how this could be done better, how this is not right or up to par, but they won't take the time, they won't make the sacrifice to do what it is that some people are able to do because of their mere availability, or do just because of the heart that they have to be able to do this work. Not everyone can be a caregiver. Okay, it looks and appears to be something that to a lot of parents and to a lot of people, the person who they like the most, they think they're going to automatically be the one to care for them. This person could be a senator in Congress. No one expects, for certain things to go a certain way in life. You kind of have it all mapped out, you think, but that's not always how it goes. So for those of us who have children and grandchildren, make sure you put someone in charge who can do, or who you can designate to do very specific things. It may not be one person to do all things. And then make sure you have at least one or two people. At least two people, I think. You just shouldn't have ever put one person in exclusive control over your care, okay? When it comes to your financial decisions, as well, you should always have a person who's in charge and a check and balance. I've never ever seen a situation go smoothly when someone, through their fantasy and desire, put one person in charge and everything came out. Very often people have gone along with whatever it is, and just to maintain the peace, and then found a way to get as far away from the situation in the family as they could, just to just to find peace after enduring so much. And again, like I said, I hope and I pray nothing but peace to come to them from this situation, because it's very, very disconcerting to have to be fighting over some property or fighting over money when it comes to family and a deceased family member. Okay? So I'll stop here and I'll see you in the next one.